What's up? This is Konrad here from GOG Boxing, Grumpy Old Geezer Boxing, and I'm back. I know I've said that before, but hey man, COVID once, COVID twice, COVID 3 times. What can you do? Well, you go out and you do some impulse buys, which means we're going to review these Everlast Powerlock 2s. I think that's what they are. The reason I'm not sure, I'll tell you about that. And also some gloves I'm actually really excited about, the Title WBC training gloves. So stay tuned and come back in a minute. All right, so let's talk about impulse buys, and I'll tell you why I did this. You know, if you've seen some of my old videos, you know I've got some Fairtex gloves. I've actually had some other gloves too, but I have kind of some favorites among the Fairtex, including the BVG 9 gloves, the Mexican style gloves, which I really do like. But apart from not only getting COVID again and again, when I was kind of coming back and getting in shape, this was last summer, a year ago, I broke my middle finger sideways, which was rough. And then, like a dummy, I didn't really wait long enough, and I did it again, and the second time was even worse. And then by the time I actually put my glove on, I think it's because that middle finger makes a lot of difference in the strength of your hand. My glove didn't feel the same, my Fairtexes didn't feel the same, and plus, I've used them for a couple of years. I go inside, outside, cold weather, whatever. I don't really take care of them. They're getting a little bit worn out, and I thought maybe I should be looking for some new gloves. And I was in a store, just in a sporting goods store, and I saw these. These are the Everlast Powerlock 2s, I believe. The reason I say that is because I didn't buy these by looking them up and doing research like I usually do. I was just in the store and I thought, man, maybe I should try some other boxing gloves because mine don't feel the same as they did, probably because of that finger. And on the package, they also didn't say what they were, as bizarre as it was. But they do say Powerlock, and they've got the mesh, you know, palm. And so I figure they're the Powerlock 2s, which are synthetic. These are low end. I mean, they're like somewhere around 50 bucks, maybe 60 bucks. Nowadays, with, you know, the way the world is and inflation and logistics chains and all that, you never really know. But what happened is I put them on, and I was like, man, and I'll tighten the Powerlock here, and I was like, man, that feels great on my, it just makes a natural fist. They felt good, and I go, gosh, for inexpensive, you know, training gloves, I thought, man, all right, so I bought them. Okay, now let's talk about them real quick, and then I'll talk about the ups and downs before we get to the titles and why I bought the titles. Now, I actually think they're pretty. I like the design. I don't mind the mesh. They feel good on the inside. It's a little bit kind of, it's also synthetic. I'm not really sure what it is. I didn't give a lot of thought to these gloves. They seem like they're fairly well made, and the material, you know, it'll fool people thinking, man, is that leather or not? You know, except it's softer than, you know, most leather. When you put them on, thanks to the way you've got this good long compartment for your fingers, right? And you've got a really well placed and kind of big fist bar to support your fists. Right? So you put this on and your hand just slides in, and honestly, for a lot of you, I think you'll be just like me and be like, wow, that just actually feels great. The Powerlock works really well, although it's a little bit short, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And it gives you some pretty good, especially for lower end gloves, it gives you some pretty good wrist support. And I've got kind of messed up wrists because I'm just not a young guy. And so I dig these. And then when I put on the left hand, I'll go ahead and put the left hand on. I got the Powerlock. Well, whatever, see if I can put it on like this. Wow. All right, I get on there, get on there. And I put the left hand on. Get that Powerlock here. Oops, wrong side. And I go, man, I gotta say, these feel really good. They do feel really good when you put them on. Okay, that's the upside, is the comfort. And the comfort so much, I was like, man, I'm gonna rethink Everlast, because I hadn't even put on, I haven't even bothered with Everlast in a long time. Now, what happened? Well, there's a couple of things. One is when I started hitting on the bag, my thumb started jamming on the end of the thumb. The thumb on this one is a little short. It's a little short for me. I don't have very big hands. I've got like average hands. Some of the guys I know that are my size, I weigh like 185, and I'm a little under 6 feet tall. I know one guy's got like Dr. J hands. He would have an issue with that thumb. Now I think I do have a little bit kind of a long thumb, because I've tried on other gloves where I felt my thumb jamming a little bit, and this is another pair. So maybe it would be okay for you, but I don't know. If you have big hands, I don't know. So it was jamming. Now, since it's synthetic, it's not leather. I guess you could stretch leather too. What I would do is I'd take my teeth, I'd just pull on that, stretch it out, and then it was enough that it didn't bother me so much. But okay, it's not optimal. The other thing is that if you take a look at the, I was like, maybe I bought a women's pair of gloves or like a smaller model, because you see the Powerlock, this is with I'm not a big bone person. It doesn't go very far when I pull the Powerlock thing, and that's tight on me, which I found a little weird. It's like only goes about halfway. Kind of can't figure it out. Then you've got the issue that after I started hitting on them, well, I don't want to get into some of the cliches, but see, there's like a string right there popping out. And over here on this side, I've got some stitching right here. And I don't know if it was maybe like that to begin with. I did put some rounds in on this, like a couple weeks of rounds. And the stitching seems to be coming out a bit. Maybe it was like that. I don't know. Like I said, it was an impulse buy. But the big thing was, if you can hit, and let's say if you grew up, working out and boxing and hitting on the bags, and you've got that natural, because when you're a younger guy, you develop these tendons. It's like a guy that throws a baseball. If he starts when he's young, he can probably throw harder than a guy that starts when he's late. Some guys just naturally can hit. Well, I can hit a little bit. And I noticed that my hands were sore. Not necessarily so much in the knuckles. This is pretty soft, and over time, maybe my knuckles would bug me. I don't know. But actually, if it's leather supports your whole hand. This, and I know there's some synthetic gloves out there like Rivals and stuff, and I'm not commenting on them, but this one, my hands get sore when I use this on not a very hard or particularly heavy bag. The bag I use most often, because my hands, is kind of like medium heavy. It's sort of medium. It's just not a heavy bag. And the sides of my hands would hurt. The inside of my hands would hurt. I could feel it. Okay, those are a little bit of the downs for me. I'm not saying this is like a 1-star or anything. It's kind of, it sort of fits the price. If you're a beginner, you need a glove, or you're a young person, like let's say you wanted to buy some gloves for your kid because you don't know what he thinks of it yet. He probably doesn't have that much. If it's not a hard bag, okay. I'm real big on protecting your hands, so I'm not going to give it 100%. Like, go for it. It's it's cheap, It's probably not that bad. It'll do in a pinch, but I don't know. Not really for me. On the other hand, though, it's so comfortable, and your hand slips in. It's making me rethink Everlast. Like, I might want to go try some of the higher end leather gloves, because I got to say, they just felt great. But since my hands were sore, and I was actually going to the States, because I don't live in the States, I was going back to the States. I got online and I ordered some Titles, which I want to show you. These are the Titles. These are not expensive. These run about 90 bucks. These are leather Title WBC training gloves. I really like them. A friend of mine had some, and I tried them on for about all of 20 seconds, and they kind of sold me. I said, I'm going to order those because they're not that expensive, and I'd already spent some money on these other gloves for impulse buy. So I got the Titles. Now, first of all, let's talk about these. All leather, very cool, handmade. You can see the cool stitching. Got some nice padding in here. I like the way it looks. Some people might say, oh, WBC. People talk about all the different titles and they have their opinions. But I actually like the look. I think it's cool. Got the cool gold, rim thing going on over here. If you take a look at how they're put together, they're really put together as great as a traditional boxing glove. Just not a kickboxing glove, not a Muay Thai glove, no, just a boxing glove, which is what I like. Now, when you slip them on, I will say I weighed these, and they hit right on 16 ounces, which I also like. I'm a little bit pedantic with stuff like that. Now, if you put these on, great fit, great feel, very comfortable. See, my hand just goes into a great fist, pop right on the knuckles. Although of this glove, we'll talk about the other glove in a minute. I like this wide wrist strap. It's got good wrist support. It doesn't have the greatest wrist support, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I think it's definitely adequate. It's good, and I don't have good wrists. Okay. The first thing though that you might notice, which could be a downer, again if you have big hands, is on this one the finger compartment is not very long. I can feel my fingers right at the end. They are right at the end. Now this doesn't have a lip at the end, which actually I like. I don't really like that lip so much. But I can feel them right at the end. If you have bigger hands, the thumb's fine. But if you have bigger hands, that might be an issue for you. Might be an issue for you. Otherwise, really well balanced. I just can't, man, for the money, 90 bucks, great glove. But then I put on the other glove, and I was a little bit put off at first because, you know, I told you that I'd had hand problems. I broke that finger. So I was actually looking for a glove that fit just like the right hand glove. But when I put the left hand glove on, it didn't quite feel the same. Okay, it didn't quite feel the same. It felt okay, but it didn't feel as comfortable or quite as natural a fist. I thought maybe that's just that finger still healing or whatever. But you know, it didn't feel that right. I was like, what is going on with this glove? And so I compared them, and they're not exactly symmetric. I like it when gloves are really kind of just, you get the same gloves. And you can see though, you see the curl in this one is much more open than that one. These two gloves are built a little bit differently. Just not a ton, but a little bit differently. The thumb attachment on this one is shorter than this one. It's longer. Okay, no big deal. But I have to say, the left-hand glove didn't feel that good. Well, you know what happened? I was kind of ticked. I was like, man, I don't have time to send this back. So I didn't send it back. And I worked out on it, and it didn't feel right. I felt like I was not making a good fist, hitting kind of on these knuckles instead on my knuckles. I was like, man, that doesn't make sense because Title's a good brand. So I was like, it kind of looks funky. So I started pushing up the padding a little bit right under here, and I opened it up, and I got my fingers inside, and I was pushing the padding up inside, and then suddenly, I think what happened is when it was shipped, maybe something was sitting on it, or I don't know, maybe somebody wasn't careful, but then suddenly it all slipped into place, and it felt good. So gloves are weird like that. You kind of have to work with them sometimes. This one doesn't feel as broken in as the other one, but now on the bag and everything, to be honest, it feels great. It feels really good. I will say though, again, my fingers are right here on the end. So if you have bigger hands, I don't know. For people that have average size hands or even smaller hands, I think these are great. They're soft. They're going to be great for sparring. I've used them on the bag. They don't maybe give you that kind of crack, that pop that maybe some of the Mexican style gloves like Cleto or even the Fairtexes I talked about will give you. But on the other hand, sometimes I think it's good not to have so much pop to train your body, not have it feel like you're hitting that's the impact maybe lessens a little bit on your wrist. But I dig them, man. I really like them. I really do like them. I think these are incredible gloves for the value. What can I say? Great gloves for the value. I don't have anything else to add. Now, if I were going to, however, I will add something. If I were going to compare these with my old Fairtexes, which I'll grab those. Here's my trusty Fairtex. Of course, I've got some lace-ups too that I really like, except we're not comparing lace-ups to these right now. Just a quick comparison. Now these are really broken out. I've used them for like 2 years. They actually now fit. They feel fine again because my fingers healed, and I can make a fist and it all feels good. These do feel. They're kind of like my. They're going to always be my fallback gloves. I love these gloves for the price. They're awesome. Now you can see they're a little cracked. I've been taking them inside, outside, rain, snow, sleet, whatever. I mean, I'm not letting them get rained on, but you got the picture. But I think the wrist support is more solid on the Fairtex. They're a little bit slimmer. They got that Mexican shape. They're hard to compete with, but they were more expensive. On the flip side, these WBCs, man, they may start even though they're not expensive. Boy, they're going to give the Fairtexes a run for the money. I got to admit it. I'm liking them. I'm really liking them. Okay, so I would give these a good recommendation. I really would. For the money, maybe let's not say 5 stars, but still pretty good freaking gloves. Highly recommended. So there, that's about all I have to say about that. Now, I'm going to be back, I hope, more often again. I know I've said that on a couple of videos. I appreciate your patience. It just took a while to get back in shape, and I'm going to also talk about how I got back in shape and got over some like asthma issues from COVID, and also my own age. I mean, I'm almost 56. Some of the things I added to my workouts and changed to my workouts. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy those. I'm going to have another kind of glove review coming up. But apart from that, over and out. See you soon, and goodbye.